In July of 2019, a father logged onto Reddit and wrote one sentence: "I'm making a video for my sons, and I genuinely don't know what to tell them." So he asked people who had already lost their fathers a question. If you had one more chance to talk to your dad, what would you ask him? You might expect practical answers. Where are the important documents? How did you meet mom? What should I know about money, marriage, or raising children? And yes, some people wanted those answers. But again and again, complete strangers came back to something much simpler. "I wish I knew if he was proud of me." One woman said her father died before she ever really got to know him. She didn't want one final piece of advice. She just wanted to hear his voice and hear him say that he loved being her father. Another man lost his dad unexpectedly. Their last conversation was painfully ordinary. His father told him to turn off the computer and go to bed. Years later, the son was still carrying one question: "Were you proud of me?" And what exactly were you proud of? That is the frightening part. A parent can die completely certain that their child knew they were loved. And that child can spend 20, 40, or 50 years examining the evidence, still unsure what it meant. This video is about 7 questions adult children keep asking after there is no one left to answer them. But this is not really a video about death. It is about a conversation you may still have time to begin. And the final question may be the most important, because it determines which version of your voice your child will hear inside their own head when your real voice is gone. Question 1. Did you love me, and was there any way I could have known? Almost every parent would answer the first part immediately. Of course I loved you. But that is only half the question. Could your child recognize your love from the way it felt to live beside you? Not from the hours you worked, not from the sacrifices you silently made, not from what you carried in your heart, from what they actually experienced. Imagine a child bringing home a report card. They got 6 A's and 1 B. You point to the B. They tell you about a new job. You ask whether the salary is high enough. They introduce you to someone they love. You immediately notice everything that could go wrong. You may call that concern. Your child may slowly turn it into a rule. I am lovable, only in my improved form. Psychologists call this parental conditional regard. Research suggests that it can sometimes produce the behavior a parent wants: better grades, more obedience, fewer visible mistakes. But the emotional cost can include unstable self-worth, internal pressure, and resentment. In other words, the strategy may work, just not in the way the parent thinks. The child gets an A and does not feel proud. They feel temporary relief. For one more day, they have avoided becoming a disappointment. Later, grades are replaced by college admissions, income, a house, a marriage, and grandchildren. But the test never ends. That is why saying, "Everything I did for you," may be completely sincere and still fail to answer the question. The answer sounds more like this: "I love you for who you are, not for how correctly you live. And if you often felt something different around me, that was not proof that something was wrong with you. It meant I did not know how to show my love in a way you could feel." That is not admitting that you failed as a parent. It is telling your child they can finally stop auditioning for the role. Question 2. Were you proud of me, or was I always falling short? The word proud appeared over and over in that Reddit discussion, and that may seem strange. Why should a grown adult still need approval from a parent? Because a parent's voice often becomes the first narrator inside a child's mind. If that voice notices only what is missing, even success begins to sound like a pause before the next correction. You got a job, but it does not pay enough. You bought a house, but it is in the wrong neighborhood. You got divorced, so you must not have tried hard enough. You stayed married, so why are you allowing yourself to be unhappy? In one study, 141 young adults recorded the criticism they perceived from their parents and their own emotions every day for a month. More perceived criticism on one day predicted more anger on the next. The connection was stronger among participants with more symptoms of depression. That does not mean one critical comment will damage a child forever. It means criticism does not always end when the conversation does. Your child may carry it into the next morning, the next decision, and the next version of themselves. That is also why a vague statement like, "You know I'm proud of you," may not be enough. It has to compete with 1,000 specific corrections. So be specific now. I am proud that you told the truth when lying would have been easier. I saw how you took care of your sister when our family was struggling. You built a life I would not have chosen for you. But I am proud that you had the courage to choose it. Do not name the child's status. Name the person you see inside it. A title can disappear. A career can end. A marriage can fail. But years from now, your child may still use your sentence to remember who they are. Question 3. Did you really know me, or did you only check whether I was okay? A parent can talk to an adult child every Sunday and know almost nothing about their real life. How was work? Fine. Do you have enough money? Yes. How is your health? Everything is good. The call happened. The questions were asked. Everyone can say, the family stays in touch. But underneath the word fine could be a collapsing marriage, a panic attack, a lost job, or months of loneliness. Why does the child stay silent? Not always because the parent did not care. Sometimes it is because every time the child brought home a difficult feeling, the parent tried to make it disappear as quickly as possible. Do not overthink it. Other people have it worse. I warned you this would happen. Here is what you need to do. The parent thinks, I am helping solve the problem. The child hears, my truth is not safe here. Eventually, they learn to bring you only the version of their life that will not create a lecture, an argument, or a rescue mission. Studies of parents and their adult children repeatedly find that the two sides do not always agree about how close or supportive their relationship is. In one large study, parents rated the relationship as closer, on average, than their adult children did. That does not mean the parents were lying. It means two people can spend years inside the same relationship while experiencing two different realities. There is one question that can reveal which reality your child has been living in. When you are struggling, what do I do that makes it difficult to be honest with me? Then let them answer. Do not correct the timeline. Do not explain your intention. This, our intention, do not negotiate with their memory. First, try to meet the person you may have spent years trying to improve. Question 4. If I choose a different life, will I still belong to you? One of the people in that Reddit thread was 21 years old and had recently lost his father. His dad died believing that his son would finish pharmacy school, but the son later left the program because he hated it. Now he could never ask the question underneath that decision. Would you still have been proud of me after I changed the plan? That is the real fear many adult children carry. It is not simply, will my parents approve if I quit this job? It is, will their love survive if I stop being the person they imagined? Control rarely looks cruel from the inside. Usually, it looks like fear. A mother is terrified that her daughter will marry the wrong person. A father is terrified that his son will throw away a secure career. Parents know how much mistakes can cost, so they try to hand their child a map with every dangerous road removed, but no such map exists. A meta-analysis covering 53 studies and more than 46,000 young adults found that so-called helicopter parenting was associated with poorer outcomes in areas including autonomy, emotional regulation, and mental health. These are associations, not proof that parental involvement directly caused every problem. But the pattern matters. Help that takes away ownership of a person's life may weaken the very abilities that help was supposed to protect. Support does not mean approving every decision. It sounds like this. I will tell you what scares me, but the decision is yours. And if it goes wrong, you can come home without paying for my help with humiliation or the words, I told you so. Your child needs the right to make a mistake without turning that mistake into the end of the relationship. Otherwise, they may live the life you chose, or they may live their own life and hide it from you. Question 5. Was I the reason you were unhappy? Children almost never ask this directly. They are too afraid the answer might be yes. But the question begins forming when they hear things like this. I gave up everything for you. If we did not have children, I would have left years ago. After you were born, I stopped having a life. A parent may say something like that once, exhausted and angry. A child may remember it for 30 years. The adult meant, I was overwhelmed. The child heard, my existence destroyed your life. Parental regret is real. even if families rarely talk about it. Research suggests it is experienced by a meaningful minority of parents, and it can be connected to many different circumstances, including burnout, mental health, lack of support, financial stress, and the feeling that parenthood consumed an entire identity. But even when parenting was painfully difficult, the child is not responsible. They did not decide to be born. They did not choose your marriage, your career, your finances, or the dreams you gave up. Honesty should not become an inheritance of guilt. You can say this: there were times when I was deeply unhappy. There were times when parenting felt like more than I could handle. But you were not responsible for my decisions, and you do not owe me your life in repayment for mine. For some adult children, that sentence may be the first chance they have ever had to return a burden that was never theirs to carry. Question 6. What would you apologize to me for? Most parents have an explanation for everything they did. I was distant because my parents never talked about emotions. I controlled you because I was afraid. I worked all the time because someone had to pay the bills. Every one of those explanations may be true, but an explanation answers, why did you do it? An apology answers a different question. What did it do to me? In a 3-part study involving 288 teenagers, researchers compared different kinds of parental apologies. Apologies centered on the hurt child were associated with more forgiveness and greater satisfaction with the relationship. Defensive apologies, where the parent justified the behavior or shifted some blame back to the child, performed much worse. In the experimental part of the research, a defensive apology was statistically no better than no apology at all when it came to anticipated relationship satisfaction. So the sentence, "I'm sorry, but you were a difficult child," may feel almost identical to never hearing sorry. A weak apology sounds like this: "I'm sorry if that is how you took it. I only wanted what was best for you." A real apology sounds like this: "I embarrassed you in front of other people. After that, you stopped sharing important things with me. I understand why. I am sorry. I had reasons for being the way I was, but I will not use them now to make your pain smaller." An apology cannot erase the past. It can do something more realistic. It can end the argument over whether your child had the right to be hurt. Question 7. When you are gone, what do you want me to remember? This question matters more than one final piece of advice about work, money, or marriage. Because when a parent dies, their voice does not disappear. It moves inside the child. At 35, 40, or 50, when that child is deciding whether to end a marriage, leave a safe job, have children, or begin again, they will often return to the people who first taught them what was right and wrong. In that moment, make sure they hear more than your fear. Leave them words they can live inside. You are allowed to change your mind. One mistake does not make you a failure. Do not stay in a miserable marriage just to keep our approval. Do not have children to prove something to the family. A job can end. Your value does not end with it. Ask for help before your life becomes an emergency. And most importantly, even after I am gone, you do not have to continue my life. Go live yours. Grief researchers have a term for unspoken messages and unresolved conflicts with someone who has died: unfinished business. Research has found that greater distress over this unfinished business is associated with more severe grief. Some of the hardest losses are not only about missing the person, they are about being left with a question that can never receive an answer. You cannot protect your child from losing you, but you can keep that loss from becoming a lifelong investigation. Now, go back to the father making that video for his sons. He came to Reddit looking for advice. People told him to talk about money, first love, music, mistakes, childhood, and family history. Those were all good ideas, but the most powerful answers were not really about wisdom. They were about permission. Permission to know you were loved. Permission to stop earning that love through achievement. Permission to choose a different career, a different partner, and a different life. Permission to remember a parent without carrying that parent's courtroom inside your own mind. One person in the discussion said that after his father died, he found journals and letters written when his dad was young. They became some of his most valuable possessions. Not because they contained a secret to success, because, for the first time, he could see the person his father had been before he became a father. Your children may want your stories too. But first, they may need your answers. You do not need to schedule one enormous family conversation. You do not need to sit everyone down and announce that tonight you are repairing the past. Choose one question. Call your child and offer one specific truth. This is what I am proud of you for. This is where you must have felt alone with me. This is what I need to apologize for. This was never your fault. This is what I want you to remember when I am gone. Then ask the question that may be harder than all 7. What do you still need to hear from me that I have never said? And be strong enough to hear the answer. Good parents make mistakes too, but while they are alive, a mistake has something it will not have after they are gone. The chance to be named, repaired, and prevented from becoming the final word in the relationship. What is the one answer you have wanted from your parents your entire life? And if you are a parent, which answer can you give today?